ride. This is what caught my attention. No, it.
The 1987 Professional Rodeo Cowboys Association World Champion, qualifying 5 consecutive times for the National Finals Rodeo, and the only bull rider of his era to score a qualified ride on the infamous Red Rock Bull, Lane Clyde Frost, doesn't require any introduction. However, an unfortunate accident resulted in such severe injuries that Lane Frost's career immediately came to a devastating end, leaving the bull riding world in utter shock. But how good was he in his prime days? This is the story of Lane Frost. Born on October 12, 1963, Frost's early years were spent in Colorado, where he was born. At the tender age of only 5 months, Frost started showing signs of being interested in bull riding. Now, his father was a rodeo rider, and often he'd attend bull riding events with his parents. His mother, Elsie Frost, said that if they would leave the events early, Frost would cry, and as soon as they'd sit back down, he'd become calm. Now, it was clear that he was going to follow in the footsteps of his father. However, there was still a lot of time for him to join bull riding. Regardless of his age, Frost was a dedicated and highly enthusiastic child. At the age of 5, he began riding dairy calves on the farm he lived on with his parents in Randlett, Utah. His mom admitted to making his first pair of chaps for him, but she never wanted him to continue this bull riding hobby. Now, she was scared because the sport came with extreme risks, and given his young age, he physically wasn't developed to sustain the jerks on a bull. Yet, at the age of 9, Frost hopped onto a bull, but this was the only time he was allowed to do so. Don Gay, perhaps the most famous bull rider of all time, met Lane around that time. Now, he instantly became a mentor to him and told him not to ride bulls until his bones were fully developed. Surprisingly, Frost listened to him and continued practicing his riding skills on calves and steers. Now at 10 years old, Lane Frost entered his first riding competition at the Little Buckaroos Rodeo in Utah. He competed on calves and steers and won his first rodeo awards at the event in 1974. Since then, his passion for riding only increased, and he wanted to become a professional bull rider. But there's a long way to go before he'd become one, let alone a professional one. Once he'd reached the age of 15, Frost began riding bulls regularly. He also participated in wrestling at his junior high school and was amazing at it too. Now, according to his mom, he had a record of 45 wins, 4 losses, and just 2 tied matches over the course of 2 years. However, Lane never was interested in wrestling as much as bull riding. Hence, he dropped wrestling completely when he moved to Oklahoma along with his family in 1978 to escape the harsh Utah winters. Now that same year, Lane participated in the Small Fry Rodeo Association Championship and became the bull riding champion at the tender age of 15. This was unprecedented for his age at the time. This was his first ever proper rodeo, and he completely dominated the event. However, there were still plenty more hurdles to cross before he'd become a professional bull rider. Now, a couple of years later, Frost participated at the National High School Rodeo Association, where he made acquaintances with Kelly Kyle and Tough Hedman. Now, the trio remained friends for a long time and competed in several competitions together. Frost was also taking bull riding more seriously this time around, and he began taking advice from Freckles Brown, the 1962 bull riding champion. Now, he quickly became a life mentor for him, and for years to come, Lane Frost would spend hours watching Freckles' rides, studying them, and learning the ins and outs of professional bull riding. The beginning of his professional career was just right around the corner. Back in 1981, he won the bull riding championship in the National High School's Final Rodeo Association, and also owned the title of the bull riding championship at the Oklahoma Youth Rodeo Association. Now, his love for bull riding only increased with every event that he won, and in 1982, he graduated high school with several championship titles. But Lane, he was not completely satisfied just yet. He knew he had the potential to reach the very top in professional bull riding, and therefore, he decided to not continue studying, but to focus solely on polishing his skill set. Now, in 1983, he received a full membership with the Professional Rodeo Cowboys Association. Now, he was still a teenager when he finished 16th in the standings. Now, unfortunately, he couldn't qualify to compete in the NFR that year, but still, he was awarded Rookie of the Year title that year. Now, he moved on to compete in the Super Bowl competition in Del Rio, Texas with high hopes. However, the competition was fierce and he couldn't emerge as the winner in that one. His efforts weren't becoming fruitful, but he was determined, holding on to the hopes of winning the next event. Lane participated in the PRCA Prairie Circuit event, and to everybody's surprise, the rookie dominated the whole event. His riding skills shocked even the most seasoned professionals present, and eventually he emerged as the bull riding champion at the event. A few years later, at the 1986 Winston Tour, Lane Frost participated in the tour and once again faced a loss. He was the runner-up that year, however, his dedication to the sport didn't decrease at all. He shared the championship title of the 1985 Super Bowl event with his close friend, Tuff Hedeman, and later went on to compete at the world's toughest rodeo with Hedeman and another friend, Ted Noose. Now, shortly into the event, he faced an accident where he bruised his right arm pretty bad. Now, regardless of that, he rode the Phantom Bull successfully at the 1986 Cheyenne Frontier Days. At the National Finals Rodeo that year, Lane was extremely close to winning the World Championship. Now, he rode 9 out of 10 bulls that year, and in the last ride, he was bucked off by Red Rock. Now, because of this, he was named the NFR average winner and was ranked at the 3rd place in the world standings. The next year, he participated in the National Finals Rodeo in Las Vegas, Nevada, where he was finally going to make his dream come true. Riding 8 bulls out of 10, Lane dominated the event and emerged as the world champion bull rider for the first time in his career. Furthermore, he was the last rider to ride into the 10th round of the National Finals Rodeo, but unfortunately, he couldn't win the championship. Yeah, he was bucked off a bull in the last moments, and if he'd stayed on for just 8 more seconds, he would have won the title. A little bit later on, he broke his collarbone at the Elks PRCA Rodeo, but still competed in the World Championship. The man's passion knew no limits, and this was what separated him from the rest. Finally, his dedication paid off, and he emerged as the world champion in 1987. For the next couple years, he continued dominating events until he met a horrific accident at the Cheyenne Frontier Days in 1989. Now, back on July 30th in '89, Lane Frost drew the bull named Takin Care of Business. Now, this bull was extremely difficult to ride on, yet Lane made a successful ride. However, immediately afterward, he dismounted and fell into the mud. The bull attacked him with his horn, breaking Lane's ribs and severing a main artery. For a few seconds, Lane stood up and asked for help, but immediately fell down. Within the next few moments, he lost the battle. He left the world forever. This was the last ride of his career, which left the whole bull riding community dismantled for years. And everybody was devastated to hear at the tender age of 25, a great bull rider had lost his life doing what he loved the most. Today, he's buried at the Mount Oliver Cemetery in Hugh, Oklahoma, right next to his friend and mentor, Freckles Brown. His legacy continues to this day, and Lane Clyde Frost remains to be known as one of the greatest bull riders to ever bless the sport. Are you one of the lucky ones that got to watch Lane Frost ride in his prime? Make sure you let me know in the comments section down below. And if you like the video, make sure you hit that subscribe button and press the bell icon so you're notified as soon as I upload my next one. Thanks for watching, y'all. We'll catch you in the next one.